It seems to me that we're living at a turning point in our civilization. We have um, we have a societal collapse going on. We we can we have real reason to worry because in general our consciousness is not very high, and we have these world-ending weapons that we've stockpiled, and we have a malignant narcissist in the White House, surrounded by other criminals, basically. Um, and our system is not equipped to deal with this situation. The founding fathers did not envision this ever happening. They didn't prepare for it. Um, we went through the Civil War. That was pretty drastic, but we didn't have world-ending weapons at that time. We basically had limited means, and now what we have is the ability to create uh, a global suicide. We have a global situation where people don't have good sense. Um, you have somebody like Putin in Russia, who's a dictator, who can make up his mind to do something where 1 million, 2 million people are killed, and nobody can stop him. They don't even have the fail-safe things that we have in our culture, in our system. So it seems to me that what we have to have is people willing to speak up, people willing to look at the situation and be conscious enough to realize what our problems are, not just as far as the system goes, but our psychology. We have a psychology that is extremely worrying. That can lead us right into catastrophe. This is a pretty serious situation. Now, I am American and I grew up in America, but Um, I've lived outside the states physically, but also mentally uh, for almost 50 years. And Americans um, look like they assume the whole world is what they grew up with. They don't realize. I see this, I'm living in Mexico right now. I see this, how so many Americans decide things are getting really bad in the US because they can't afford to pay the rent, own a house, raise their kids, be safe, um, earn enough, and they want to get out, and they think it's going to be easy. Um, so they go to another country, and they're shocked. They don't like it. They don't like dirt streets. They don't like the food. They want to have their peanut butter. They want to have the laws the way they're set up in the United States, where When you buy a house, you know exactly what's in it and what's not. Um, and all the laws protect you. They they worry about the violence. They don't speak the language, um, and they end up leaving. It's a very mobile community. I lived in France for almost, well, about 35 years, I guess. And it wasn't so much like that. Um, the people who showed up, who were Americans, adapted to the culture. They didn't think it was going to be easy, and it wasn't. When I first went to France in the early 60s, uh, they were pretty intolerant of Americans in general and of anyone who didn't speak French. So the bar was high for those people. And those who met it ended up loving it and staying. That was almost the rule there. And friends that I made who were Americans and still living there after all these years speak really good French. You can't tell they're American. They really understand the system. They operate within it, the healthcare system, everything. They become citizens very often. Here in Mexico, it's different. You see a very transient population. You see the kind of American who expects everything to be like it is in the US. And I've talked to Americans who say the way Mexicans do it is wrong. We need to pave these cobblestone streets. We need to have all kinds of security. Um, the fact that the electricity goes off too often, we need to fix that. Well, I agree, there are some inconveniences. Uh, that's the way it is. Other countries are not America. That's a shock to some of us, isn't it? Well, what's happening in the US right now, and America's got this ceiling over it where it almost can't see the rest of the world until it gets out, and then it's shocked. It's a shocking thing to realize the whole world doesn't operate like America does. Well, now that America is collapsing in a sense, its system is being rifled by criminals and professional crooks. Doge has gone in and stolen a lot of information. Um, South Africans have shown up. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk have shown up, and they are fascists, and they want to destroy the little democracy that America has. And they got a lot of votes. Maybe some of those were stolen or cheated, or maybe they created a kind of vote suppression system to make people of color afraid to even go out and vote. Um, or maybe they miscounted the votes. We don't really know. But it looks like the democratic system, flawed as it has been, is in trouble. And that is going to create some emergencies in the global order. NATO's is under threat because America has been the kingpin in that system. And the idea that Trump has that America has been footing the bill is actually not true. Well, anyway, what we have is a crisis, and it's a serious crisis. I think that uh, in America, they have to realize they are getting close to committing suicide. And people of consciousness and goodwill need to organize. And whether they're on the far left or the center left or center Democrats, whatever, those people have to get over their differences and save the country, because the US is not some insignificant little country that if it collapses under a dictatorship, nobody's going to notice. It's going to really affect a lot of people, and a lot of people will die. What we need to do is speak truth to power, and um, we have to do something close to what the French do, which is stop all systems. Yeah, we can express our opinion and say, I don't agree with this. Well, that's all fine and good. But what the French do is stop the trains from running, close the schools, close the stores and the markets and the buses and the trash collection. And they get the attention of the people in power. Americans raise their hand and say, excuse me, I don't agree with this. And people in power just shrug and go their way. That's not going to do it. We're going to have some real steel. We're going to have some real organization where people realize they're being overwhelmed, they're being overridden by criminals. And the fact that you're white is not going to eventually be enough. Yeah, right now they're taking people who look foreign to them, people who have darker skin, and they're picking up Native Americans. Do you realize this? I mean, it's crazy. And where are they going to send those people? I mean, they sending people off to death camps just to get them out of the country is exactly what Hitler did. This is not a good situation, and Americans are going to have to realize how serious it is. All right, that's my rant for today.